Grizzly Bear. In the 1850s, a mountain man named James Capen Adams didn't just encounter grizzly bears in the wild, he raised one from a cub and made it his constant companion. The bear, named Ben Franklin, performed in circuses, walked through San Francisco streets, and literally slept in Adams's bed. This wasn't some distant relationship where the bear lived in a cage. Adams treated Ben Franklin like a giant, potentially lethal dog. They traveled together, performed together, and Adams even used the bear as a pack animal during his hunting expeditions in the Sierra Nevada mountains. The bond between them was apparently genuine, though calling it safe would be laughable. Ben Franklin wore a chain and performed tricks for audiences who were both amazed and terrified. Adams himself was mauled multiple times by various bears throughout his life, suffering severe head injuries that eventually contributed to his death. His skull was reportedly cracked open by a bear, and he performed in circuses while literally dying from these injuries. The relationship with Ben Franklin remained relatively stable until Adams's death in 1860. After he died, the bear was sold to P.T. Barnum Circus. What makes this story insane isn't just that someone kept a grizzly bear as a pet, it's that this happened during California's gold rush era, when laws about exotic animals basically didn't exist. Adams was part showman, part wilderness expert, and apparently part suicidal, because grizzly bears can weigh up to 800 pounds and have a bite force strong enough to crush a bowling ball. The fact that Ben Franklin didn't kill him is almost more surprising than the relationship itself. Hippos, Pablo Escobar's private zoo in Colombia, housed giraffes, elephants, and 4 hippos that would eventually become one of his strangest legacies. When Escobar was killed in 1993, most of his exotic animals were relocated or died. But the hippos, they escaped into the Colombian wilderness and started breeding. What began as 4 hippos has exploded into over 130 individuals as of 2023, making it the largest hippo population outside of Africa. These aren't cute zoo animals casually living in a new habitat. Hippos are one of Africa's most dangerous animals, killing an estimated 500 people per year in their native range. They're incredibly territorial, have massive jaws with teeth that can grow up to 20 inches long, and can run at speeds approaching 30 miles per hour on land. The Colombian hippos have adapted perfectly to the Magdalene River basin, where they face no natural predators and have unlimited food sources. The Colombian government has struggled with what to do about them. Killing them causes public outrage because people see them as cute and harmless. Relocating over 100 multi-ton animals is logistically insane and expensive. These hippos are now considered an invasive species, disrupting local ecosystems, threatening fishermen and villagers, and competing with native species like manatees for resources. What's wild is that this entire situation exists because one drug lord decided he wanted hippos as exotic pets. Escobar flew them in from Africa for his personal zoo, probably never considering that hippos are incredibly adaptable and breed rapidly. Now, decades after his death, Colombia is dealing with an expanding hippo population that scientists predict could reach over 1,000 individuals by 2050. Chimpanzee. In 2009, a Connecticut woman named Sandra Harold called 911 in hysterics, screaming that her pet chimpanzee was killing her friend. Travis the chimp, who Harold had raised since infancy and treated like a human child, attacked Charla Nash with devastating brutality. The attack lasted over 10 minutes and resulted in Nash losing her face, hands, and eyes. Travis had appeared on television shows, drank wine from a glass, and dressed in human clothes. He seemed domesticated until the moment he wasn't. Chimpanzees share about 98% of their DNA with humans, which makes people think they're suitable companions. They're not. Adult male chimps are incredibly strong, possessing roughly 5 times the upper body strength of an adult human male. When they become aggressive, which can happen suddenly and without clear provocation, they target faces, hands, and genitals. Travis weighed 200 pounds and had the strength to literally rip a person apart. What happened to Travis illustrates why keeping primates as pets is catastrophically dangerous. He'd been given Xanax earlier that day, was likely frustrated and confused, and responded with violence that's completely natural for chimpanzees in conflict situations. In the wild, chimps engage in brutal territorial battles and even infanticide. The attack on Nash wasn't an aberration, it was a wild animal doing what wild animals do when they're stressed or confined. Harold had raised Travis after his mother rejected him at a breeding facility. For years, he seemed fine. But puberty in chimpanzees brings increased aggression and territorial behavior. By the time Travis attacked Nash, he was a fully mature adult male with all the strength and instincts that come with that. The tragedy could have been predicted by anyone familiar with primate behavior. Tigers Mike Tyson during his peak earning years in the 90s, owned 3 Bengal tigers that lived in his Las Vegas mansion. He reportedly paid $70,000 for them and kept them on his property with custom enclosures, though he also let them roam inside his house. Tyson has talked openly about how he'd wrestle with the tigers, sleep near them, and treat them like oversized cats. One of the tigers, named Kenya, once escaped and confronted a woman who trespassed on his property. Bengal tigers are apex predators that can weigh over 500 pounds, possess 3-inch long canines, and have a bite force of around 1,000 pounds per square inch. They're built to take down prey much larger than humans. The idea of wrestling with one, even a supposedly tame one, is objectively insane. Tyson himself has admitted that keeping the tigers was foolish, and that he's lucky he wasn't seriously injured or killed. What makes Tyson's tigers notable isn't just that he owned them, it's the casual way he integrated them into his daily life. There are stories of visitors to his house encountering tigers wandering the property. He'd bring them to photo shoots and public appearances. This was during an era when exotic animal ownership among celebrities was less regulated, but even by those standards, keeping 3 full-grown tigers in a residential area was extreme. The tigers were eventually rehomed to a sanctuary in Colorado after Tyson's finances deteriorated. Looking back, Tyson has expressed regret about keeping them, acknowledging that wild animals belong in appropriate environments, not in someone's mansion. It's honestly surprising that nobody was killed. By the way, if you're finding these stories as wild as I am, I post content like this regularly. I'd appreciate it if you subscribed. Thanks. Gator A. Pennsylvania man named Joey Henney owns an emotional support alligator named Wally. This isn't a small caiman or a baby gator. Wally is a 5-foot-long American alligator who Henney claims is registered as a legitimate emotional support animal. Henney takes Wally to public events, nursing homes, and reportedly even wanted to bring him on commercial flights. The alligator apparently doesn't bite, enjoys being petted, and has become something of a local celebrity. American alligators are apex predators with a bite force exceeding 2,000 pounds per square inch, capable of performing death rolls that tear prey apart. They're not domesticated animals. They're reptiles with brain structures fundamentally different from mammals, lacking the capacity for emotional bonding that dogs or cats possess. The idea that an alligator provides emotional support stretches the definition to its breaking point. Henney rescued Wally from someone in Florida who could no longer care for him. Wally was apparently mistreated and underweight when Henney got him. Through consistent feeding and handling, the alligator became docile and tolerant of human interaction. Henney insists Wally has never shown aggression, and that he can read the animal's body language well enough to know when it's stressed. But here's the thing, alligators are ectothermic reptiles whose behavior is heavily influenced by temperature and hunger. A well-fed, warm alligator in a calm environment might seem placid. That doesn't mean it's safe or that it won't react instinctively to sudden movements. The fact that Wally hasn't bitten anyone yet doesn't mean he won't. There's a massive difference between those two things. Kinkajou Paris Hilton, at the height of her fame in the mid-2000s, owned a Kinkajou named Baby Leave that she carried around like a fashion accessory. Kinkajous are nocturnal rainforest mammals from Central and South America that look vaguely like a cross between a monkey and a ferret. They're arboreal, have sharp teeth, and possess a powerful bite relative to their size. In 2006, Baby Love bit Hilton badly enough that she required medical treatment and a tetanus shot. Kinkajous are not domesticated animals. They have specialized diets consisting mainly of fruit and nectar in the wild, sleep during the day, and are most active at night. Hilton was treating a nocturnal rainforest animal like a purse dog, bringing it to clubs and photo shoots during hours when it naturally wants to sleep. The stress alone would make any animal unpredictable. Add in the noise, lights, and constant handling, and the bite wasn't surprising. What happened with Baby Leave sparked conversations about exotic pets as status symbols among celebrities. After Hilton popularized Kinkajous, there was a spike in people wanting them as pets, despite the animals being completely unsuitable for captivity in typical households. They need large enclosures, specific humidity levels, and a diet that's expensive and difficult to replicate. The bite itself wasn't severe compared to what could have happened with a larger exotic pet, but it highlighted the casual irresponsibility of treating wildlife as accessories. Kinkajous have sharp teeth designed for processing tough fruit and can deliver painful bites when frightened. Baby Lou eventually disappeared from public view, presumably rehomed somewhere more appropriate. Capybara. Melanie Tipoldos of Texas owned a capybara named Kaplan Rose, who became an internet sensation in the late 2000s. Capybaras are the world's largest rodents, reaching weights over 100 pounds, and are native to South America where they live in groups near water. Kaplan lived in Tipoldos' house, had his own swimming pool, and interacted with the family's dogs. Unlike many exotic pets, capybaras are actually relatively social and can adapt to living with humans if their needs are met. Capen became famous through Typaldos's blog and social media posts showing him swimming, interacting with other animals, and generally living a life that looked surprisingly normal for a giant rodent. Capybaras are semi-aquatic and need access to water to regulate their body temperature. Typaldos built an elaborate setup to accommodate this, including a kiddie pool that Capen used daily. She also fed him a specialized diet of grasses and vegetables. What made Capen's story different from most exotic pet situations was Typaldos's obvious commitment to meeting his needs. She researched capybara behavior extensively and created an environment where he could express natural behaviors. Capybaras are herd animals, though, and Capen's social needs were met by living with dogs in constant human interaction. In the wild, capybaras live in groups of 10 to 20 individuals. Capen died relatively young due to unknown health issues, which highlights another problem with exotic pets. Veterinary care for capybaras is limited because they're not common in captivity outside of zoos. Finding a vet who knows how to treat them is difficult. Typaldos's dedication was genuine, but even with the best intentions, keeping a capybara presents challenges that most people can't address properly. Octopus naturalist Cy Montgomery developed a deep connection with a giant Pacific octopus named Athena at the New England Aquarium, documenting the experience in her book, The Soul of an Octopus. While not a traditional pet owner, Montgomery's relationship with Athena demonstrates the intelligence and personality of octopuses in ways that challenge assumptions about invertebrate consciousness. Athena recognized individual people, showed preferences for certain handlers, and engaged in what appeared to be playful behavior. Giant Pacific octopuses are among the most intelligent invertebrates on Earth. They have 9 brains, 1 central, and 1 in each arm, and can solve complex problems like opening jars and navigating mazes. Athena would reach out of her tank to touch Montgomery, seemingly seeking interaction rather than just food. She'd change colors based on her apparent mood and would manipulate objects in ways that suggested curiosity. But here's the heartbreaking part. Octopuses have incredibly short lifespans. Giant Pacific octopuses typically live only 3 to 5 years in the wild, and many die shortly after reproducing. Athena died within a couple of years of Montgomery meeting her, which is natural for her species but felt tragically brief given the bond they'd formed. Keeping an octopus requires a sophisticated saltwater aquarium with excellent filtration, precise temperature control, and enrichment items because they get bored easily. They're escape artists who can squeeze through impossibly small openings. They need live food or expensive frozen seafood. Despite these challenges, some people do keep smaller octopus species as pets, though the ethics of confining such intelligent animals remains debated among marine biologists. If this made you think differently about exotic pets, consider subscribing so you don't miss future content. Thanks for watching.